Good, good, good.
All right, very good. Now, Naomi is joining, so I have five people in this collaborate session. But before I came in, let me share my screen first. So, yeah, I looked into the discussion board, and there were only there were let's see, now more people are here. But look, I've been telling you over and over. The first order of business is to sign into the discussion board, right? And create your own thread. I mean, do your own, attendance report by creating your thread. Okay, creating, actually, yeah, just like this, but you don't have to, you don't have to use anything in the subject line. Just in the subject line, put your last name, first name. Okay, last name, comma, first name, right? So I have five people in the discussion board, and I have like 9 people in the collaborate session. So please, before coming to the collaborate session, right, the first order of business is doing the attendance report, right? The first order of business is doing the attendance report in the discussion board in today's forum. Okay, so if you haven't done it yet, please do it ASAP. So, and I will check back later because this is your physical proof of attendance, physical proof, right? All righty, I guess, pretty much everyone is there. I have 10 people now in there. All right, actually, more people are in there. So, and you guys all know, you must be all aware that the first of all, today's videos are these. These are today's videos that you must watch. I will still have, a couple of more, 4 more videos left in this topic. Now, there was an announcement about the first self-test. This is a self-test. It's not, but it can help later on. So there's going to be Roi Concept Check, which is the first test, but this is a self-test, right? This is a self-test, so in a way, it doesn't directly factor into your semester grade, but it can help. It will help definitely. People who have this, the result of this, will be one step ahead, right? So it's going to be available in the assignments folder, right? Here in the assignments, right? And it's not visible yet. It's not visible, of course, because it's going to be visible from 12 a.m. Friday, right? Tomorrow, right? It's going to be the window will be open until Sunday night, okay? Midnight Sunday. I mean, 11:59 p.m. Sunday. But you have only that doesn't mean the test is open for 3 days. It's just the window during which you can choose 2-hour time frame. Okay, once you start, you have 2 hours. Okay, once you start, you have 2 hours, and you must finish it in one sitting. Okay, So please, make sure, find the best time for you to take during, this weekend. Find the best time to take this class, because once you get started, you shouldn't be disturbed. Okay, you shouldn't be, interrupted. All righty. So let's go back to where we left off. That was last Thursday. So we talked about basically, we talked about the holding scenario 1 and scenario 2. Remember that? Scenario 1 is, the case where you use this house as your home. So basically, there is no extra income, but there will be only, capital gains or capital loss. And under scenario 1, what's going to be the holding period return? And we know the definition of holding period return, right? PT plus N minus PT over PT. So, and of course, in this example, in scenario 1, there is no cash flow, extra cash flow, additional cash flow, because in scenario 1, you don't, it's not for subletting. You don't sublet it, right? You don't. And in scenario 2, right? In scenario 2, where you are subletting it, and therefore you will have additional income, right? Additional income, right? And sum of all of these, right? Which is, in B14, right? So B2, which is, PT plus N, and B13, which is PT, right? So that's going to give you the capital gains, and sum of all these, extra income, additional income, that's the sum of all of that, divided by PT. So you got the a holding period return in scenario 2. And you might wonder, why do I have the two, the same, two of the same numbers there? Well, this one is simply using, because C14 is what? C14 is simply, all the capital gains. You can find capital gains either by subtracting, PT plus, PT plus N minus PT, or simply, year by year capital gains, which is simply, the difference between each year, right? And then if you sum everything, that's going to be, capital gains. So simply using that, right, and dividing it by PT, right? Oops. Then you get, holding period return. And this is the holding period return in scenario 2. Okay. But I told you, you might wonder, do I then, since it was 11 years, do I just divide it by 11? No. First of all, you can't do that. Now, if I divide it by 11, and that's not going to be even the same thing as, let me try this. If I divide that by 11, and of course, I know there are 11 years, but just to make sure, I will use count command, right? The count command will come in very handy when you have a long range of data. I mean, if you have a long range of data, it's not going to be easy to actually visually check, right, or physically check. I mean, if you have like thousands of data points, right? Thousands of data points. It's not going to be easy, right? To visually, count them, the number of data points. Then in that case, you can simply use, and it's going to count how many. Now, this is obviously, then if you do that, this is already wrong. Why? Because this is wrong, right? I'm telling you, first of all, you cannot simply divide it by, first of all, if you're taking the average, think about it. If you want to take the average of, if you want to take the average of, and I use this example, I believe. If you want to take the average of the people in this class, right? What would you do? You will have to collect each individual height data, and then you add them up and divide it by number of people in this class, even for simple average, right? And then obviously these are not the dividing holding period return simply by 11 is not the same thing as dividing each individual growth rate, dividing the sum of each individual growth rates, right? So obviously you must take the growth rates between each year, and the growth rate is simply this minus this divided by, think about it, it's the same thing as 1 year, it's basically 1 year holding period return, 1 year. Growth rate is basically 1 year holding period return, isn't it right? The growth rate year by year, each annual growth rate is the same thing as individual year by year holding period return, annual holding period return for 1 year. I mean, what I'm talking about is 1 year, the return for 1 year holding period. Then what would you do, right? 2000. Then you would do 2006 price minus 2015 price and divide it by 2015 price, and you will drag it down. But you don't have to do it. I mean, 2016 price minus 2015 price is already here, isn't that right? That price is already here, so you don't have to do that. A subtraction all over again. It's already been done here. So all you need to do, it's already done here, right? So all you need to do is simply divide this by this, okay, and then drag it down. Then we have, year by year, year by year growth rate, or return for 1 year holding period, right? 1 year for when holding period is just 1 year. So if I have all of them, then what would I do? I will simply then take the average of all of those. The simple average is, what you can do is simply sum all of them, right? That's the simple average, isn't it right? You sum all of the data points and divide it by number of data points. But then I'm gonna divide it by I'm going to count the number of data points, right? Because instead of, I know I have, this has got to be like 10 then. Because that's the, then it's going to come to 12.21. And that's already, there's a significant difference. Right? There's a significant difference, right? Significant. The huge difference. There's there's almost 7% difference, which is a huge difference. So obviously this is very wrong, right? But again, even the arithmetic average is not precise because arithmetic average is overstating the geometric average. Now, if I try that again this way, then think about it. Now, What is column F? Column F is the annual returns, right? Holding period return under scenario 2. This is the annual return under scenario 1. This is the annual return under scenario 2. You understand? Everyone remembers, everyone understand the difference between scenario 1 and scenario 2, right? Because you're all quiet, I'll have to check. Let's see. Kathleen, are you here, Kathleen? Kathleen? Kathleen O. Kathleen, are you here?
Yes, sir. I'm not sure what's the difference between scenario 1 and scenario 2.
Okay, hold on. That's Bert, right?
Yeah.
Kathleen, I saw your microphone. I saw your microphone come up. So, Kathleen, you understand? Kathleen, I think your check your microphone volume, because I don't know if you're saying something or not. All right. So Bert said, Bert, did you attend the last 3 classes?
I attended, I think, only one because one of them I wasn't here for, and I didn't get to finish watching the 5 videos that you put.
Okay. Look. First of all, even if you didn't attend, if you watched all the main lecture videos, right? You should, you should know, because it's been all discussed in, the main lecture videos. Also, in the session recording every day, every class, the live Collaborate session recording is posted. So if you looked at if you watched the September 2nd live recording, session recording, then you should know. But let me explain it. I'm not sure if you can hear me. Oh, Kathleen, I cannot hear you. Maybe if your microphone is definitely unmuted, because I saw the microphone light up, or so I think you have you need to check your audio setting. Okay, so Bert, I talked about. Okay, let's get back. Scenario 1 is now suppose you're buying a house. You bought a house, but then there can be 2 scenarios, right? Scenarios about how this house is being used. The first scenario is that you're using this house only as your home, only as your residence. Okay, so I already talked about this at the beginning. So in under that scenario, right? You don't have any additional income. You don't have any additional cash flow, but there will be only capital gains or capital loss as the house value changes. Okay, and in our scenario, eventually at the end of 2016, the house value eventually ended up with a lot of capital gains. But over the years, right, there were times when the house value actually lost, right? But you can easily tell 2013 and 2007 there was a capital loss, but overall there was capital gain of 350K over this 11-year holding period. Now, and then in scenario 2 is the case where you use this house as a rental property. So you rent it out, right? And then there will be additional cash flow, right? Additional cash flow. And in our example, you started renting it out in only from year 4, right? For the first 3 years, there was no subletting. So column E is the annual return, right? Return year by year under scenario 1. And column F is the annual returns under scenario 2. And think about it. Since for the first 3 years, there was no subletting, right? For the first 3 years, there was no rental income. Basically, the return under scenario 1 and under scenario 2 must be the same because there's no difference, right? So yeah, that's why they came out to be the same. But from year 4, there's a difference, huge difference in the significant difference in the annual returns. And although they are both annual returns, I specifically call this the return under scenario 1. I call this growth rate. Okay, because growth rate is simply the growth return purely from capital gains. Okay, growth rate is the return purely from capital gains. Whereas return is not only capital gains, there's additional income. So that's why the difference is this is exactly what holding period return is, definition of holding period return. But in our example, where is that? I gotta open that one. Okay. Now you should be familiar with this notation, right? This is basically the capital gains between the price at time t plus n and price at time t. So in our example, time t plus n is 2016, time t is 2005, right? I mean, for the entire holding period. And these are cash flows, sum of all the cash flows during that period. But, if this was just 1 year, think about it. This will be written as PT plus 1 minus PT plus cash flow during that time, during that 1 year over PT, right? That's just 1 year return, right? 1 year holding period return, right? So that's exactly what is going on here. This is PT plus 1 minus PT, right? Which is this, right? C2 is basically this minus this, right? PT plus 1 minus PT. And then plus, which is this, and plus additional cash flow during that year divided by PT, right? So it's the same concept as this. It's the same concept as this, right? The only difference is that this is for the entire 11 years, for the entire holding period of 11 years. But this one is for the just for the 1 year holding period, right? So if you drag it down, then you get it year by year. And again, if you're going to do it like this, then it's going to be a stupid thing, right? And that would be um, it's going to be, no, it's not the same thing here. So if you want to if you want to divide the holding 11-year the entire 11-year holding period return by the number of years, by the number of years, which is, I would do, I can do it this way. I can simply do it. I mean, if you are using A2 minus A13. I mean, that's going to give you 11, right? That's going to give you 11. There you go. And of course, this is overstating, and I can also do it, instead of, counting, because these are already, calendar years, right? 2016 minus 2005 will give you exactly 11. So you can count it like that, or you can, right? You can, subtract from A2, right? You can subtract from A2, right? Subtract A13 from A2, right? You can do simply A2 minus A13. But either way, this is not right, because how can you can easily tell the average of all these numbers cannot even be close to 30%. Why? The highest number is 26, right? Highest number is 26.90. There's 31.90, but this is even greater than 31.90. I mean, if it is an average of these numbers, it cannot be greater than the maximum of those numbers, right? It should be something. I mean, average is a mean. It should be something somewhere in between the lowest and the highest number. Cannot be this. So that's clearly wrong. So, and if you take the average this way, right? That's a simple average. Once again, that's wrong. It's better than this, but it's still overstating, right? So I would say they are all wrong, okay? And that's why we need to use the geometric average. Now, since we don't have much time, let me just give you what geometric average is. Let me give you the formula, and it's all here. Now, this is the geometric average, right? Geometric average is, PT plus n over PT raised to 1 over n, raised to the power of 1 over n minus 1. So, and I'm gonna explain, the steps of derivation of that formula, how that formula came about. So I already, so using geometric average, what would I do? I will have to divide, right, price 2016, PT plus N minus divided by PT, right, raised to 1 over N. We know N is 11, right? We know N is 11. But either we can use count command because we have 11 data points. You can use count and just highlight those, select those range, and don't forget to close the parenthesis. Once the parenthesis is open, then you must close it. You might wonder, didn't we just close it? Look, all these, this is the inner parenthesis, right? And this one is, they are color coded. Obviously, this one is black, and if the black one is open, then the black one must be closed too. Okay, that's gonna give you 11. Then you subtract 1. Okay. B12 B12 over B13. B2 over B13. Something's not exactly right. Let me. Was it only 10? I don't think it was. Let me. Change this. Oops, something. B2 over, or A2. I'm sorry. A2, right? A2 is where the calendar years are. A13 is where the 2005 is. Yeah, it should be 11.57. I don't know why that gave me. Oh, I think but it should be the same thing. If I count, let me try that again with count, and then A2 through A13, that's going to be 11. Ah, this is weird. A2 through A13, that's going to give you 11. It should give you. Okay, I'm going to go with this for now because the count command is somehow it's acting up. It should be, exactly. Okay, 5. That's going to give me. Oh, it gives me 12 rows. I mean, in terms of number of rows, yeah, it gives me 12, but it's okay. In this case, you shouldn't do because if you just count these rows, it's going to give me 12. But actually, it's 11. It's 11 because if you're doing this, it's as if you are 2005 was the entire year of 2005 was there. No, it's not the entire year of 2005. Look, this data points are, I told you, as of the end of the year. So in other words, we didn't have 2005. We owned the house. We bought the house at the end of 2005, which is the same thing as the beginning of 2006. So we didn't own the house in 2005. You understand? But if you count everything from A2 through A13, it will include 2005 as well. Then it looks like as if we owned the house even from 2005, in which year we didn't. Okay, so it's only it only is correct to instead of using the count command. I mean, to use the count command, you need to actually only count if you use the count command, you need to only highlight these, you know, highlight, you know, the column E where we have the returns for 11 years, because once you highlight this, you see the box as I highlighted. As I highlight this range, you know, see what's happening in this box. Okay, as I highlight the data points, the data range, you know, it says 11 rows times 1 column. So that means, you know, this is 1 column and 11 rows. So that means, you know, there are 12 data points. Okay, understand? So doing it this way, that's correct. And I can also find, you know, geometric average on the scenario too. Again, I'm gonna just okay. Oh no, C12, C2. No. Okay, one more thing. You can use that geometric average only when you are only under scenario 1. Because in scenario 1, we are dealing with, look, think about it. This formula is only dealing with PT plus N and PT. There's no additional income. There's no additional income factored into this formula. So then if there is additional income, what do I need to do? I will need to use the, you know, Excel's built-in function called geomean. Geomean means geometric average. So you can either, you know, you can enter, you can click on this function, right? And then, you know, the function commands, right? The menu box opens up, and what you will see there is the most recently used, but actually you will need, if you don't see geomean there, what you need to do is go to either statistical or all. I mean, you can't go wrong with all. It will list everything, and it's gonna it's all listed in alphabetical order. So you scroll down until you find geomean. It's F already, so next will be G, and then there is geomean there. Okay, geometric mean, right? And it's geometric mean. So the numbers I need is actually, if you want to use geomean, you will need 1 plus R. Okay, you will need all 1 plus R. You're probably wondering what are column H and column I. Let me get to that later. And then it's got already, you know, you have already the range of numbers. So hit OK. Come on, -1. I have to subtract something. So, so in geometric average, right? The geometric average of the returns is 16.34, which is also slightly, you know, which tells us that the arithmetic averages overstate the geometric average. Okay, and the geometric average is what we need. Geometric average is the correct average when the data when we are dealing with longitudinal data. Okay, remember we talked about the difference between latitudinal data or cross-sectional data and longitudinal data or time series. Okay, time series or longitudinal data are historical data, right? And something like house value, price, stock price, in at least monthly, quarterly, annual stock prices are growing with the compounding effect. I talked about the compounding effect in the previous classes, right? If you don't remember, then you got to study harder, right? And some people say, Professor, I don't remember. No, you shouldn't be proud to say I don't remember. That only means you didn't study, right? And if you don't understand, then you got to find the problem within yourself. The problem is within yourself if you don't understand, not outside, right? It's only a responsible attitude to try to find the fault within yourself, right? Not to put the blame on something else. It's maturity. It's a mature attitude. So mature people, intellectually mature people, don't put blame on other people or other things, right? Putting blame on other people or other things, that's immaturity. And Donald Trump was exactly the one, right? The typical example. Donald Trump was an epitome of that intellectual immaturity. I mean, he was a very mean and small man in many ways, but intellectually he was immature. He never took any responsibility. He put blame on everybody else. He just put blame on everybody else. As a TV celebrity, TV figure, he may have been, he could have been in Apprentice or those TV shows. He may have come across as a very sharp person, but he could have been sharp, but it's not a responsible attitude, right? To put blame on something else or somebody else. And everything was, if you studied harder, if you don't understand, and then later, oh, it's beyond me. I can't, no, before you give up, before you say that, before you throw the towels, question yourself. Did you really, put your, heart and soul into it? Did you really study hard? Huh? It was all provided. I gave you, all, all the past lectures or the lectures that are older than, the videos that are more than 5 days old, they can be found on YouTube, right? So you won't miss anything. And so the ones that are no longer visible on our topics folder, you can find them on YouTube. And if you don't understand once, you gotta, what is the meaning of studying? You gotta beat at it again and over and over and over again until you conquer it. That's the meaning of studying. You cannot just read a book, you cannot read a passage once, you cannot read a chapter once, and you cannot you cannot say you have mastered it. Obviously you can't. There's no way. So what is studying? Then you gotta read the part, you gotta go over the part that you didn't understand over and over until you fully comprehend, until you get a firm grip on it. And if that is not enough, then you gotta do your own research. You look up, there are things that you don't, that are not fully explained, or you need more further explanation. You got to do research. You got to do your own research, right? That's called studying. And a lot of people are, surprisingly, a lot of people are not accustomed to that. The concept of studying is so foreign to them. They don't know what is studying, basically. It's not that they don't know how to study. They don't know what is studying. They don't know what is to study. Studying is not reading. Studying is to beat at the material until you wrap your head around it, until you get it right, until you fully comprehend it. That is studying. And if you didn't do that, right, don't just say, I don't understand this. You don't understand it because you didn't give it enough studying. You didn't pour yourself into it. You didn't put your heart and soul into it. And when you put your heart and soul into it, then you'll get it. That's how it works. So column H, it's literally, look at the label, it's 1 plus G. So all I did there was just, I entered 1 plus E2 and dragged it down. So then everything will automatically populate once column E is populated. Once column E is populated, then column H will automatically populate. And then what did I do here? Also, column I is 1 plus column F. Whatever is in column F, right? So it's going to automatically populate. Then I can use geomean. And I also did it like this, which is, you might wonder, what is that? I14 is sum of all those. I14 is a product, not sum. Product means, you know what product is. It's multiplication, right? Multiplication of all those numbers. And that's another way you find geometric mean, which is, basically, this formula. But we don't have time for that today, so I cannot go into that. But I found geomean that way, okay, which is, in this case, yeah, this is, but this is pretty much, all the formula for geometric average that you need for now. This is the one formula, right? I mean, there are several other variants. There are several other a couple of, not several, just about 2 other variants of this formula. But, this is pretty much, what you need for now. And here, this is Excel's built-in function. And to use that geomean command, you will need to use, 1 plus R as the data. You cannot use, just R, okay? If you want to use just, again, you can't. So geomean, but you must, subtract 1. Why? Because if you don't subtract 1, it's going to be greater. 1 is itself, right? 1 is itself. And the reason we subtracted 1 here is because if you don't subtract 1, it's going to come out as, 100%. For example, think about it. If your income last year, your income was $10,000, annual income was $10,000, and this year your annual income is $15,000. Last year it was 10,000. This year 15,000. So how much did your income grow? Everybody can tell it grew by 50%, right? But then that's the net growth rate, right? Because that's what you got, because you subtracted 10,000 from what you did was 15,000 minus 10,000, right? Which is then 50,000 divided by 10,000. So that's why you got 50%. But if you didn't do it like that, let's say this year's income, your income this year is 15,000, which is 150% of last year. Isn't that right? Which is 150% of last year. Then if 150% is what? It's not just the growth portion, right? It's not just the growth portion. It's including the last year's income itself, right? It's including the last year's income. So 150% is the gross growth rate, right? Just to find the net growth rate, you gotta take out 1. Makes sense? Then you get 50%. You might wonder, if you take out 1, isn't it 149%? No, I'm talking about 1, the whole number, integer 1. 1 is 100%, right? So out of 150, you got to take out 100%, which is just 1, right? If it is percentage, 100%, but in just numbers, 1. That's why you take out 1. Makes sense? You have to take out 1 to arrive at net growth rate. Now, actually, this session was meant to be for more of question and answers, but because I had to wrap this up before the first self-test, we couldn't have that. But I'll definitely have more question and answer session next time. Which means next Tuesday, but we are out of time already. So it's 1 hour. It's 1 hour today, right? 2 hours on Tuesday, 1 hour on Thursday. So I'm gonna have to dismiss the class. So good luck, guys, with your first test, and even once the test starts, then you cannot ask any more questions, but if you have any questions before then, send me an email. Okay. All righty. So I'll see you next Tuesday. Take care, everyone. Stop recording, and all righty. Mahid, you had any question? Because I saw your microphone. Mahid?
Professor, can you hear me?
Who is this? Nikori?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, go ahead.
Where can I find the test?
Look, I told you, it's not visible yet. It's going to be visible. It's going to become visible 12 a.m. Friday. Okay? I even showed you. Okay? All righty.
All right. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
All right. You too. Take care now.
Thank you. Have a good day, Professor.
You too.